Chapter 600. Peter was trembling in fright at this time, and he quickly said to Alex, "Mr. Anderson, I was wrong. I was fooled by my second aunt. She had asked me to do this. She was the one who set up the trap for your mother-in-law. I was completely deceived and used by her." At this time, Alex gave Peter a tight slap across his face before he said coldly, "If you dare to say another word before the 12 rings is over, I will ask Stephen to chop you up into 100 pieces." Peter was frightened by Alex's fierce gaze, and he shut his mouth immediately. Alex looked at the 5 broken fingers on his right hand before he said, "Your right hand is almost done. Come on, are you ready?" After he was done speaking, Alex grabbed his wrist before he flipped it with a fierce force. Click! Peter's right wrist was completely broken. Peter's leg softened and he fell to the ground with a thump. He wanted to beg for mercy, but he did not dare to say a word when he thought about what Alex had just said to him. However, this piercing pain made him feel as though he was on the verge of collapsing. At this time, Alex said, 12 rings. That was just 6 rings. There are still another 6 rings that I want to give you. After he was done speaking, Alex bent over before he grabbed Peter's left hand. Peter looked at Alex with tears in his eyes, but he did not dare to say anything at all. He simply looked at Alex with a pitiful expression in his eyes as he shook his head to beg Alex for mercy. Alex gave him a cruel smile. After that, he grabbed Peter's left thumb before he said, "The 7th ring." Peter trembled in pain. Alex did not give him a chance to react and he continued, "Come, the 8th ring." Peter felt that he was about to faint because he was in so much pain. However, the 9th ring awakened him immediately. The expression on Alex's face was extremely terrifying and cruel. Alex patted Peter's face gently before he smiled and said, "There are 4 more rings. Make sure you don't miss it." Immediately afterwards, he heard another click. This kind of disciplinary action was equivalent to cutting meat with a dull knife. Even Stephen was shocked at this scene. There are 3 more rings. Zora was paralyzed with fear at this time. She could only imagine that it would be her turn to suffer after her nephew was done enduring Alex's 12 rings. Lucy wanted to escape as soon as she could, but she was quickly dragged into the living room by one of Stephen's men who pointed a pistol at her head as he kicked her to the ground. Lucy was almost frightened to death when the black muzzle was pointed directly at her forehead. At this time, Peter had already endured 11 rings. The 10 fingers on both his hands were already like beans hanging from a vine. They were completely limp. He could not move any of his fingers at all. Now, he was only able to move his left wrist. Alex said to him, "Come, this is the last ring." Peter was in so much pain that he could not even kneel down anymore. He could only let Alex grab his left wrist before he broke it directly. 12 rings. Peter could only howl in pain. He knew that he was already a useless person in future. His wrists and all of his 10 fingers were limp and useless. So, what else could he do in the future? Continue to be a gangster? Could he even hold a knife in future? He would be hacked to death by his enemies in the blink of an eye. Alex squatted down in front of Peter as he said coldly, "You still have 2 legs and feet. If you do not answer my question well, I will make sure to give you another 12 rings." Peter turned pale immediately and he quickly replied, "I'll answer all of your questions seriously no matter what you ask me." Alex nodded before he glanced at Lucy and Zora, who were trembling in fear. After that, he asked in a cold voice, "Tell me clearly about everything that happened today. If you miss out any single detail, I'll make sure that both your legs are useless by the end of the night."